Hi everyone, today I will read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Let's go. Chapter 11 Quidditch. As they entered November, the weather turned very cold. The mountains around the school became icy gray and the lake like chilled still. Every morning, the ground was covered in frost. Hagrid could be seen some from the upstairs windows. Defrosting broomsticks on the Quidditch pitch, bundled up in a long moleskin overcoat, rabbit fur gloves, and enormous beaver ski boots. The Quidditch season had begun. On Saturday, Harry would be playing in his first match after weeks of training. Gryffindor versus Slytherin. If Gryffindor won, they would move up into second place in the house championship. Hardly everyone has seen Harry play because Wood had decided that as their secret weapon, Harry should be kept well secret. But the news that he was playing Seeker had leaked down somehow, and Harry didn't know which was worse. People telling him he'd be brilliant, or people telling him they'd be running around underneath him, holding a mattress. What was really lucky that Harry now had Hermione as a friend. He didn't know how he'd have got through all his homework without her. With all the last minute Quidditch practice Wood was making them do, she had also let him Quidditch through the ages, which turned out to be a very interesting read. Harry learned that there were 700 ways of committing a Quidditch fall, and that all of them had happened during a World Cup match in 1473. That Seekers were usually the smallest and fastest players, and that most serious Quidditch accidents seemed to happen to them, that although people rarely died playing Quidditch, referees had been known to vanish and turn up months later in the Sahara Desert. Everyone had become a bit more relaxed about breaking rules since Harry and Ron had saved her from the mountain troll, and she was much nicer for it. The day before Harry's first Quidditch match, the three of them were out in the first Quidditch. The three of down in the freezing courtyard during break. She had conjured them up a bright blue fire which could be carried around in a jam jar. They were standing with their backs to it, getting warm when Snap crossed the yard. He noticed at once that Snap was limping. Harry, Ron, and Hermione moved closer together to block the fire from Bill. They were sure it wouldn't be be alone. Unfortunately, something about their guilty faces caught Snap's eye. He lied over. He hadn't seen the fire, but he seemed to be looking for a reason to tell them off anyway. What's that you've got there, Potter? It was Quidditch through the ages. Harry showed him. Library books are not to be taken outside the school, said Snap. Give it to me. 5 points from Gryffindor. He just made that rule up, Harry muttered, angry as Snap lied away. Wonder what's wrong with his leg. Dunno, but I hope it's really hurting him, said Ron bitterly. The Gryffindor common room was very noisy. That evening, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat together next to a window. Hermione was checking Harry and Ron's chum's homework for them. She would never let them copy. How will you learn? But by asking her to read it through, they got the right answer, though said away. Harry felt restless. He wanted Quidditch through the ages back to take his mind off his nerves about tomorrow. Why should he be afraid of Snap getting up? He told Ron and Hermione he was going to ask Snap if he could have it. Rather you than me, they said together. But Harry had an idea that Snap wouldn't refuse if there were other teachers listening. He made his way down to the staff room and knocked. There was no answer. He knocked again, nothing. Perhaps Snap had left the book in there. It was worth a try. He pushed the door ajar and peered inside. A horrible scent met his eyes. Snap and Filch were inside alone. Snap was holding his ropes above his knees. One of his legs was bloody and mangled. Filch was handing Snap bandages. Blasted thing, Snap was saying. How are you supposed to keep your eyes on all 3 heads at once? Harry tried to shut the door quietly, but Potter. Snap's face was twisted with fury as he dropped his ropes quickly to hide his leg. Harry gummed. I just wondered if I could have my book back. Get out. Harry left before Snap could take any more points from Gryffindor. He sprinted back upstairs. Did you get it? Ron asked. At that, Harry jotted them. What's the matter? In a loud whisper, Harry told them what he'd seen. You know what this means? He finished breathlessly. He tried to get past that 3-headed dog at Halloween. That's where he was going when we saw him. He's after whatever is wording. And I bet my broomstick we let that show lean to create a diversion. Everyone's eyes were wide. No, he wouldn't. she said. I know, he's not very nice, but he wouldn't try. And still, something Dumbledore was keeping safe. Honestly, everyone, you think all teachers are saints or something? Snapped Ron. I was Harry. I wouldn't put anything past Snap. But what's he after? What's that dark word? Harry went to bed with his head bursting with the stem. Question. Neville was snoring loudly, but Harry couldn't sleep. He tried to empty his mind. He needed to sleep. He had his first Quidditch match in a few hours, but the expression on Snap's face when Harry had seen his leg wasn't easy to forget. The next morning dawned very bright and cold. The great hall was full of the delicious smell of fried sausages and the cheerful chatter of everyone looking forward to a good Quidditch match. You've got to eat some breakfast. I don't want anything. To the bit of toast. We told Hermione, I'm not hungry. Harry felt terrible. In an hour's time, he'd be walking onto the pitch. Harry, you need our strength, said Seamus. Finnegan seekers are always the ones who get nobbled by the other team. Thanks, Seamus, said Harry, watching Seamus pile ketchup on his sausages. The 11 o'clock. The whole school seemed to be out in their stands around the Quidditch pitch. Many students had binoculars. The seats might be raised high in the air, but this was still difficult to see what was going on sometimes. Ron and Hermione joined Neville. Seamus and Dean, the West Ham fan, up in the top row. A surprise for Harry. They had painted a large banner on one of the skyscrapers had run. It said Potter for president and Dean, who was good at drawing, had done a large Gryffindor lion underneath. Then Hermione had performed a tricky little charm so that their paint flashed different colors. Meanwhile, in the changing rooms, Harry and the rest of the team were changing into their scarlet Quidditch robes. Slytherin would be playing in green. Would cleared his throat for stillness. Okay, men, he said. And women, said Chaser, Angelina Johnson. The women would agree. That's it. The big one, said Fred Weasley. The one we've all been waiting for, said George. We know Oliver's speech by heart. Fred told Harry we were in the team last year. Shut up. You too, said Wood. This is the best team Gryffindor's had in years. We're going to win, I know it. He glared at them all as if to say, oh, else. He glared at. Right, it's time. Good luck, Oliville. Harry followed the thread, and George out of the changing room, and hoping his knees weren't going to give way, walked down to the pitch to loud cheers. Madam Hooch was referring. She stood in the middle of the pitch, waiting for two teams, hip broom in her hand. Now, I want a nice, fair game, Oliville, she said. Once they were all gathered around her,